We should be close. He can't have gone far. And when we find him, we get our money back. After he trouts us, well, good luck with that. Could be hiding down in a gully something. Well, off we go then.
Tie my leg wraps. Greetings, adventurers. My name is Moshi, and today we're going to talk about leg wraps, also known as Viking leg wraps, also known as Winnengoss, or even Pooties. First, we're going to talk about why you should consider adding leg wraps to your adventuring attire and kit, or garb, whatever you want to call it. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the history, specifically in the medieval and Viking period. And then I'll close with a few tips about how you can keep your leg wraps from falling off or being uncomfortable. First things first. Wearing leg wraps allows an opportunity for color and kind of that medieval fantasy silhouette that everybody thinks of with the high boots. But as many of you may know, and as I'm about to tell you right now, most medieval boots didn't reach the knee. I know that's crazy, because we always imagine those high jack boots. Those don't come in until the late Renaissance. And because it's not something that looks entirely modern, it looks older, which means it will cause our modern eye to make it think it is older. It's also really great if you're just starting out your kit and you don't have a great pair of medieval shoes yet, but you still want that silhouette or that look, or you want something great to wear on your legs. Leg wraps are the way to go, even if you have to wear them with sneakers. It's also really great because leg wraps you can really just cut out of a bit of fabric and boom, you've got them. There are obviously some other steps if you want to weave them or if you want to whip up the edges, whatever. But in its most basic form, leg wraps are just strips of cloth. Leg wraps are also really great leg wraps are also really great for if you're wearing really wide pants or really long pants, and you have them tight around the cuff. Great thing about leg wraps is it lifts it up a little bit. You kind of have to hike your pants up a little bit and allows for really great movement. I can move however I want in any direction and it's completely fine. Leg wraps are also really fantastic for protecting your pants. If you're walking through the woods, or if you walk through a puddle or something, that usually splashes up, but it doesn't really pass your calf. These leg wraps will protect your pants, meaning you don't have to wash them nearly as often. Leg wraps will protect your pants, they will keep you dry for longer, and that is really great. I can vouch for this when I went on my medieval camping trip, which, somewhere up here, I wore my leg wraps the entire trip. A, I'll show you later how I wore them. They never fell off, and B, I stayed completely dry. They are also incredibly cozy. They kind of allow this almost compression sock-like thing, although they're not quite as tight as compression socks. They really just compress, but they're also soft, because they're usually made out of wool, very stretchy material, and they just keep everything tight and compressed, but they don't cut off your circulation. They're very, very cozy. And all of these great benefits just come from having 2 little strips of fabric that you wear on your calves. That's pretty great. Historically speaking, leg wraps have been used pretty much across multiple different cultures, multiple different countries, and throughout most of our history. The Greeks and Romans have been seen to wear kinds of leg wraps, but we're mostly focused on the Viking and medieval style that you see. But leg wraps are even used in World War I and II. They were called pooties. They were mostly worn by the British and American and Australian, I think, military. And they were called pooties. They had a little bit of string attached on the end, and that's how they tied them down. The reason we have them throughout pretty much all of our history is because they're easier to make than socks. And these types of leg wraps have been worn in a lot of different ways. The most common way we see is the way I have them, which is... Ooh. 1 second. I'm struggling here. If you can see that. A long strip of fabric that pretty much starts from your ankle and you just spiral all the way up until the lower bit of your knee. That's the most common way. That can be worn a lot of different ways. It can be simply tucked underneath itself. You don't want to tuck over because it'll fall off, but if you tuck underneath itself, it works a lot better. They can be closed with a brooch or a small pin. You can wrap a bit of cordage all the way up your leg over the leg wraps, or you can just tie it off at the very top. There's another kind of leg wrap, which is essentially one bit of fabric that is the height from your ankle to the bottom of your knee. It's essentially the height of the bottom half of your leg, and it just has 2 bits of cordages at either corner, and you just wrap that entire bit around your leg and then tie them up at the top and bottom. Most leg wraps you pretty much just want to have in wool or some kind of wool blend. If there are some other thicker fabrics that you guys can think of, feel free to let me know in the comments, but wool is pretty much the best option for leg wraps because it is thick, it is warm, it is waterproof for the most part, and it's very stretchy, and that will help keep everything tight. It'll hold onto your leg much better. If you're looking to get a pair of leg wraps and you don't want to make your own, you can use a ton of different websites. I'm sure there's countless websites or shops or vendors that you can buy from. I recommend Bergschneider. You can get them on Amazon pretty easily. They're pretty cheap. I'm sure you could find them on Cult of Athena. You just look around. I'm sure you can find them all over the place. Reenactment vendors and stores should be pretty easy to find. So now for some tips for putting these leg wraps on. I suggest, above anything else, above putting string over or anything like that, the most simple way to do this, and my personal favorite, I think it's the most effective, is to wrap it up from the bottom up. You want to avoid what is called stepping. It is these big, large bits of cloth that are coming out. You want to make sure everything's tight. There shouldn't be a gap in any of these areas. Stepping is bad. To avoid stepping, you can twist the leg wrap over once when you get to the step, and then just keep wrapping. When you get to the top, I suggest simply tucking it up under. Like I said before, you don't want to tuck over because it'll just slip out. It'll keep it nice and tight. Second way to do it is, again, a simple brooch or little pin. Works pretty great. I don't really like wearing that because I don't like using my brooches on my leg wraps. Although that's what they're for, I prefer to use them on my clothing or on a cloak or on a hat. There's another way to do it. Like I said before, just tie it off at the very top It works pretty well, but I suggest, again, tucking it up under first and then tying it on, just for that extra bit of keeping it tight. The last way to do it is to simply wrap the string all the way up over the leg wraps, and then tying it off at the top. I also don't like this way. There's just a waste of cordage. I don't like using it like that. I simply just like tucking it up and under, and it stays on. I had it just tucked up and under when I went on my camping trip, once again, link up here, and it never, ever, ever fell off. It never came undone. It was completely great. It worked really, really well. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that YouTube stuff. Please, it really, really, really helps me out. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, farewell.